Ron, I think you were telling me about Pat MacDonald and her importance.
Talking to Ron again.
Yeah, I'm talking to Ron, and I could love to get your voice in. Yeah, but
Thank
Since
you.
there's two extroverts in
it
this
seems to be two
team,
extroverts.
one introvert.
This probably never happened when you three were working together. But
I saw this before.
My story about Pat is that I was at her funeral. By the way, I do want to say that Chris, this is significant to me to be talking with John and Bob now, and because this is end of life.
mm,
This is this is it.
Yep.
And Pat passed on. But one of the things that happened because of the internal difficulties of Whitworth, without going into anything that would seem to be accusatory or blaming or judgmental, but she actually saved the program because I was let known by the president of the college that he wasn't going to renew my scholarship for the next year. And I think it was, anyway, a lot of history why and everything else, but the transfer from Ed Lindemann, the next president, and I was told that I won't be faculty anymore. Pat called faculty, and she said, and I was scheduled to fly somewhere, Chicago or something. Pat called the faculty together, or selected faculty, and said, Ron, you're leaving on Saturday, but come to breakfast at this pancake place near the college. Went to breakfast, and I told my story to the faculty, and then and said that my contract was not to be renewed, which would have meant the total demise of the graduate program. And Pat at that meeting told me to just tell the story of what this president had done. She led the faculty across the road into the administration building. They walked into the president's office and said, you can't do that. And so she and I was looking for mutual understanding and, how this impacts me and all that kind of bullshit. My colleague David Erb, whom Bob knows and John knows, said, well, I wonder what your leverage is. So I called Pat. She got the leverage, and I think it must have been 10 to 15 faculty walked into the president's office, demanded he change that decision. That's why you're sitting where you are now, Chris. So I'm just deeply indebted to the structure and the trust that I had from the college at that moment.
Bravo to Pat.
I want to say one more thing about Pat, Ron, Pat MacDonald. This is 73, and I was asked to teach the January class. At that time, Whitworth had the fall semester and the spring semester, but then a January, sort of like semester. And so I was asked to teach it on communication skills and, all the things we taught. And it was going very well. And Pat MacDonald came up to me sometime during that time, a couple weeks in, and she said, I just heard that you're talking about a master's program at Gonzaga. And I told her, yeah, we were talking about it. And I told her some of the dilemmas we were facing with this one person that I mentioned earlier. And she said, why don't you do it here? Why don't you do it at Whitworth? And so then she said, come on, let's go see Ed Lindemann. So she took me almost by the hand across the campus into Ed's office. And within about 10 minutes, Ed said, yeah, let's do it. And then he took me, I'll say, by the hand down to Dave Winter's office.
Dave
who was
Winter,
the
Dean.
academic
Academic
dean. Yeah, and he walked in. He said, "Dave, we have a new graduate program," and well, you know, I didn't have to fill out papers or anything. It was just happened because of Pat and her influence on Ed and Dave. It was a freaking miracle.
That's good. That's really good.
It's,
it was a little easier than restarting it, Dad.
Boy, Chris.
I'm appreciating, and it pains me because I'm still grieving, I think, over Pat.
Mm,
Hmm.
She was the person who hired me.
Mhm.
She was also the person who Judy Heinrich said she got her doctorate because of Pat. So
Hmm.
there's pain associated with that, but so I'm glad to have her acknowledged. Thank you.
that's cool. Is
Yeah,
there
hi, Jeff.
is there anybody else in the early days that should be acknowledged that we're not?
Well, Ed Lindemann and Pat, I
Yeah.
think the keys.